Welcome to the 32nd IPMA World Congress in Russia, Project Management in Era of Digitalization. 900 participants, 73 countries, 3 days. 22nd, 24th of September in St. Petersburg, the biggest project management event. 5 streams: project management perspective, practice, people, methodology, agility. St. Petersburg is one of the most modern cities of Russia, as well as its cultural capital. The historic center of St. Petersburg and related groups of monuments constituted as UNESCO World Heritage Site. St. Petersburg is spread across more than 40 islands over Neva River. In the city, there are many rivers and canals and 342 bridges. This has earned the city unsurprising comparisons to Venice, but the similarities don't stop here. Walking around the historic center will reveal canals lined by Italianate mansions and broken up by striking squares adorned with Baroque and neoclassical palaces. St. Petersburg is an almost unrivaled treasure trove of art and culture. The Hermitage, the Russian Museum, world-class ballet, opera and classical concerts at the illustrious performance halls. St. Petersburg, an important cultural and financial center in Russia and one of the most picturesque cities in the world. Welcome to the 32nd IPMA World Congress in Russia, Project Management in Era of Digitalization.
I need to say a few formal but very important phrases. That our forum is under the aegis and with support of International Project Management Association. Forum organizers is Project Management Association Sovnet, Analytical Center for the Government of the Russian Federation, Win Business Development Company, and Group of Companies Project Practice. Official partner of the forum is Rosatom State Corporation Engineering Division, as Atomstroyexport. The educational partner of the forum is the INANO, Rosnano Group. INANO provides online training for managers and project managers, engineers and other professionals working in innovative business. And at this point, let me give the floor to Professor Darren Dalcher.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Dobry den. Welcome to the event on urgent and unexpected projects. We're focusing on projects in times of crisis. We're hoping to share lessons and ideas about what works, what has been good. These have been exceptional times. In the space of the last few weeks, last few months, our world has turned upside down. We have done some amazing things. We've learned a lot, but we probably haven't had a chance to stop and reflect on some of what we've learned. I will alternate between the terms emergency projects and urgent and unexpected projects to keep it interesting and also to bring some of the urgent and unexpected aspects. Just a quick word about me. I'm a professor in strategic project management at Lancaster University Management School. I do a lot of work on project failures and things that don't work, but I also like things that work. So I'm here to focus on what works and share some of the ideas. So you know a little bit about me. Let's find out also a little bit about you. We're hoping that this can be an interactive session. We're hoping that this can be an opportunity to share ideas, share some of the good lessons of what has worked, and build new connections, and stop for a few minutes to reflect on ideas that work successfully in other areas. So I would like you to log on to www.menti.com. You can see that at the top of the screen. And when you do, use the code 7186152 that you see at the top of the screen. So www.menti.com. And this is an opportunity to find out a little bit about you as well. So we've got the different continents and we'd like to know where you're coming from. So if you can go to menti.com and log in so we know where you are in the world. So let's have a little bit of a competition, a little bit of a race to see which continent has the most people. So we have South America, North America, Europe, Asia, Antarctica. Okay, Europe is in, I can see that Europe is now in first place. Can we have a few more votes? Aha, okay. We have, it's a little bit like the Eurovision Song Contest. We have changes there. At the moment, we have people from Europe and from Russia. We'll give it another couple of seconds. Okay, Russia is in first place. We have quite a few people from Europe and not many from other parts of the world. Russia is clearly in the lead. Okay, very interesting, thank you. Okay, I think we'll move on to the next slide. Oh, North America is coming. North America has joined us as well. So it's good night, isn't it? Good morning, North America. Asia is here on the list too. Okay, so you're clearly finding Menti, and Asia has taken North America. Asia is in third place, Europe is in second, and Russia is in the lead. Australia has joined us as well. Okay, we're missing people from South America, but we've got everything else covered. That's quite amazing. Okay, thank you very much. Continuing, another question is, can you just type in into Menti, what is your profession? You could be a project manager, you could be a planner, a risk manager. Just type in your profession and we'll start seeing on the screen the different professions. Okay, so we're seeing project managers, a few university lecturers, project executives, CEOs, consultants, professors, engineers. Still project manager is quite prominent in the list there. Project manager is definitely the typical one. And we have a few product managers as well. PM as a PM also. So PMO members, we are seeing experts, consultants, business experts, business analysts, a good few administrative officers. I think project manager is definitely in the lead with a few project executives and a number of product managers as well. Okay, thank you. So definitely a lot of project managers. Any resilience experts? Okay, and one more question again to figure out where you are. So where are you now? Are you in lockdown heaven, lockdown hell, back in the office, working from home, mixing it up, looking for something else, looking for something better? So what kind of situation are we in? Some of us are still in the original lockdowns. Other countries are going into lockdown again. Some are thinking about it. We see a lot of people working from home. Some are equally split between lockdown heaven and lockdown hell. Some are back in the office. Some are mixing it up. Some of us are looking. Students might be looking also. Working from home seems to be the dominant one, although more and more people are back in the office. So, okay, I think it's reasonably stable now. So working from home seems to be what the majority are doing. Some are back in the office, some are mixing it up between home and office. Whilst others are still in lockdown, it seems to be that lockdown heaven is preferred to lockdown hell, and some are still looking. Okay, thank you very much. We'll come back to Menti shortly and get some more responses from you. Until then, the agenda for today is in 4 parts. The first segment is the scene setting. So I'm going to talk a little bit about emergency projects, what's different now, how do we characterize them, what kind of trends we are seeing, and do we need to rethink projects for emergency? In the second part, we're going to look at some sample cases from around the world, and we have some amazing cases. We've heard of a hospital in Wuhan built in 10 days. Absolutely amazing achievement. We have some hospital trusts and research from Italy and the bushfires in Australia. So emergency projects by leading experts, what they've done, what kind of challenges they've faced. This is an opportunity to share good practice. What we've seen throughout the crisis is that there have not been opportunities for those who are working. It's all about urgent and unexpected projects. So there's very little chance to stop and see what others are doing or learn from their lessons. So this is part of what we're hoping to achieve today in the second part and beyond. In the third part, we are going to move into the breakout sessions where we will get individual topics to discuss. So again, we can share lessons, we can think about the cases, we can think about our own experiences, we can think about how to move forward. And then in the fourth and final segment, we will bring the discussion together in a plenary and see what themes are developing. We will be recording some of the issues that come up in the breakout sessions. So afterwards, we can have a summary report of the trends, the ideas, and the discussions that have taken place. So really, this is an opportunity to build up the discussion, to create greater interest, greater focus for the profession, and to talk and share and build connections. I hope you enjoy the day. And let's start with what's different now. You know there's a curse or a blessing, whichever way you look at it. May you live in interesting times. And we certainly seem this year to have lived in very interesting times. What has changed? Almost everything. Over the last 6 to 8 months, our lives have changed completely. There have been changes to society, to health, to education, to welfare. Everything around us seems to have shifted. The interesting thing is there's a proof that we can actually change, as they say, on a dime. We can change almost immediately. We can have a hospital set up in 10 days. We can change our education systems. We can change schools. We can all move back home and start working from home. And we've done that very, very quickly. But maybe we can only do that in a crisis, or maybe it's an opportunity to rethink what we can do with project management. So as we've all found ourselves in lockdown, and we are suddenly locked at home, and we are trying to look outside, we are trying to think what is different, we are trying to reflect and figure out what is the future. What is the new normal? What's going to be the great reset? And more importantly, what would project management look like? Would projects be done differently as a result of some of the lessons that we've seen, some of the experiences we've had? Is this an opportunity to rethink project management and do things differently based on urgent and unexpected projects? And we have all kinds of reflections. We've all been thinking about, there are many uncertainties, many questions. So how can my projects adapt to the new normal? What is the new normal? What does it mean? Will our suppliers and partners still be able to deliver? Am I going to be able to work from home? Will I be able to see my team? Will we be able to work together? So all kinds of questions, all kinds of challenges, all kinds of reflections that come from the uncertainty that we are seeing. We have also developed new skills. We are working in new ways. Meetings have been a big part of project management. Typically, face-to-face meetings are best, we've always been told. Agile people have daily stand-up meetings for 15 minutes. And now that we're all at home, we've had to learn new ways of meeting, new ways of working together, new ways of interacting. So we've all developed or got used to new technologies. We've all got used to Zoom meetings. We've had learning curves to learn how those new technologies work, how to make sense of them, how to have meetings with multiple people. We may like it, we may hate it, but we've done, again, we have changed. We are doing things differently. Some of us may develop Zoom black belt qualifications, and I think we've discovered that Zoom can be a blessing and a curse. Some of us find ourselves in Zoom meetings all day from beginning to end. So Zoom fills up the time available as well as other meetings, clearly. And we've seen changes also in how we prepare for meetings, how we work for them, how we organize. Some changes in terms of dress code. Do we only show up for the top half of the meeting? Do we only half dress for meetings? Are we half in the office, half at home? So the top half has clearly gone to work. The bottom half is comfortable at home. So we're getting to work in new ways. Seriously, we do need to think about work-life balance. As we all find ourselves at home, it's easier to reach us all the time, and it's easier for us to engage all the time. So we need to think about the balance. So I find that photograph quite interesting. The top half is at work, but we still recognize we're at home. We have to remember to look around us before we go on Zoom, see what other people are seeing. But we need to reflect, we need to think about the work-life balance and the changes that the technology is introducing into our lives. With changes come opportunities. We're working in new places, we can work in new ways, new backgrounds become obvious. And as we get bored, we can change some of what we are doing. We can relax the dress code a little bit. Some companies have been responding to new opportunities to socialize and get people to become more creative and engaged. We can dress up, we can have special themes, we can dress for a purpose, we can be pirates, a flower, a dinosaur, animals, so we can do all sorts of things. But seriously, we need to think about the kind of challenges. We've been dealing with an unprecedented time. So if I go back to you now again for a slightly more interactive segment for a moment, and get you again to go on to Menti and to think about what is your main challenge at the moment? What is the main thing that you are seeing? So as we are coming out of lockdown, and just enter in free text anything that you are seeing, anything you think about, what is the key challenge as we go back to projects, as you start thinking about what happens next? What concerns you? What are the key challenges? What keeps you awake at night? So if you can go back to Menti, menti.com, we're still on the same code. So I'll give you a moment or so and really comment about what you're seeing. So work-life balance, that's the first thing that has come up. As we are working from home, work and home get mixed up, mix of work and home. Urgency, yes, thank you. Urgency, things, motivation, change, burnout risk, unemployment as a result of what we are seeing, low productivity, lack of communication, change resistance, urgency is growing, technical challenges, employment, unemployment, lockdown and the implications, social distancing, not being able to travel. We're seeing some great themes coming up, office meetings, the perspective, being efficient from home. A third wave, okay, I thought some of us were still waiting for the second wave, but we're thinking ahead. Project managers are planning ahead. Third wave, fourth wave, yes. Not enough flexible people. Contingency management, so we're seeing some interesting things coming up. A lot to do with the ways we are working, a lot to do with the future. Clearly a lot of uncertainty, a lot of things we are not sure about. Unemployment is getting bigger. Motivation is quite big. Communication is a big issue, although we've got those new technologies, and I've been looking at some of those. Motivation, so balance, again, keeping a balance, productivity, procrastination, the ability to keep ourselves motivated. So there are all kinds of challenges. Some are new, some are difficult, some are continuation of things we've had before. And what I'd like to do is to bring some ideas from crisis management, some ideas from how we deal with emergencies. So starting with a crisis, we're hoping to emerge at the end of a crisis. We recognize we've been in a crisis situation. So what can we learn from crisis management? Why is crisis so special? And there's a theme developing here. The first thing is the threat. There's a potential for a grave loss. There's a danger. Because of that, we have the urgency. And a few of you commented on the urgency. We need to do things quickly. We need to respond. The longer it takes, the more there is at risk. But we don't know exactly what to do. There's uncertainty, there's the ambiguity, lack of clarity about the crisis, what is happening, the effects, and how to resolve it. Because of the threat, because of the urgency, there's stress, and our emotions are affected. So there's fear, shock, anger, which makes us feel worse. We become concerned. However, there's also an opportunity for gain, for a rethink, a reset, and reorganizing. Now, typically those kinds of situations have certain features, and as I was listing them, I recognized that a lot of them begin with U. So we're talking about urgent and unexpected, also uncertain, unknown, unknowable features, unforeseeable, and quite troubling, unplanned. I didn't realize it until then, but it appears that everything that begins with U is a little bit unpleasant or uncomfortable, or many things are. So what is urgent? Urgent means requiring immediate action or attention. So the definition of urgency is about a sudden demand for attention. Suddenly something has shifted, there's a priority, pressing importance, we need to do something about it. Dwight Eisenhower said, what is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important. But when they collide, when urgent and important come together, it can be quite critical. And what we are seeing now is exactly that. It is urgent and important. It needs addressing now. I work in a business school, and business school people are quite simple people. Everything is a 2x2 matrix. They love it in business schools. So this is the key to time management. We need to manage our time. We need to prioritize. And the essence of time management is deciding what to do. So at the top left, if it's urgent and important, we need to do it, and we need to do it now. It's important, it's urgent, it needs attention. It is all about the attention. So time management is about how to prioritize, do it now. If it's not urgent, we can decide, we can do it later, we can decide when to do it, schedule it for later. Bottom left, if it's not important but urgent, we can delegate it to someone else. If it's neither important nor urgent, we delete and ignore it. So this is about the urgency, but we said urgent and unexpected. So what is unexpected? Unexpected means not regarded as about to happen. We are not ready for it. We haven't thought about it. We are not really, we don't have a plan. No plans exist, and we may not even know how to do it. That's when the uncertainty comes in. That's when all the other factors come in. So what really happens is we have this puzzle, and we think we are working in a clear environment. We are used to working in projects. We have methodologies and approaches that we've used for a long time, and we think that everything is known. But in the crisis situation, when it's urgent and unexpected, underneath it, we discover that a lot is unknown. We don't know what's going on in real time. There are all kinds of challenges. So over to you again. How is your main project coping with the COVID situation at the moment? Has your project been affected, your main project? Has it been cancelled? Has it been paused? Has it been changed in some ways? Has it been reviewed? Has it been accelerated perhaps? Is it suffering from delays? So we are seeing a few have been accelerated, some have been paused, some are being changed, reprioritized, rebaselined. Some are suffering from delays, maybe because parts, suppliers, resources, things are being delayed. So we are seeing quite a few of those. Interesting. Some are being delayed, some are being accelerated, some have been stopped or paused at least, a few have been cancelled. Some are being changed, and we are seeing that all of these are featuring quite heavily, perhaps slightly fewer being cancelled. Certainly delays are quite prominent and changes are quite noticeable. Some have been accelerated, certainly. So there are clearly changes, and the things we think we knew, the things we took for certain, the perfect plans that we had got messed up because of the crisis. Now, as we know, project managers like to plan, and when we like to have our triangles. So if we look at the emergency project triangle, and I think we need to have a warning there, in an emergency, our triangles become less stable. We need an emergency triangle, but we need to think our triangles. Project managers are quite comfortable with the so-called iron triangle. So here on the left, we have the traditional iron triangle. In fact, this is the first project triangle introduced and presented by Martin Barnes in 1971, possibly even 1970. So we are celebrating 50 years of the triangle in project management by Dr. Martin Barnes. And this is the time cost performance triangle, and the N in the middle represents a normal project. And for a normal project, we can balance, we can trade off time, cost, and performance and decide on how we're going to do it. And this is something we're comfortable with. We've talked about it for a long time. We know what it's about. Later on, Martin changed it from performance to quality, but I think the original formulation is still his preferred one. So if we think about what happens in an emergency, urgent projects need to start now. So as you can see, the U for urgent has moved towards the time and performance, but the triangle has also changed its shape. Time is non-negotiable. We have to start, and we have to start now, and we have to finish it pretty quickly. Because of the uncertainty, we don't know everything that there is to know about the project. So we are balancing it a little bit, and we are trying to figure out what to do with it as we go along. So we are trying to make sense of it. But the crisis has reshaped our triangle. In some ways, it's probably not that much of a triangle. The triangle is collapsing a bit. And perhaps we can say that the crisis liberates us from the triangle. We have to start now. Money is not an object. Governments are paying. Things have changed very rapidly because they have to happen, and we make sense of them as we progress. In marketing and strategy, they say pick any two. You can choose the qualities you want. You can have it fast, good, and cheap. Choose any two. And I think our triangle has collapsed in those terms. So we can have fast and cheap, or fast and good, or good and cheap. So we can have any combination. In times of crisis, I don't think cheap is an option. So we're talking about fast because we have to start, and we have to start now because it's urgent. It's in our top left corner. And it has to be good, but we'll make sense of good as we go along. So it's fast and good there at the top, and we make sense of it. Really, really fast, hopefully good as well. And we'll find out what changes we need to make, especially as governments change their minds and the rules change around us. And as we've seen, projects have been changing. So we need to be flexible. What does it mean in terms of getting started? We like to paint by numbers. If we're thinking about projects in a controlled environment, Prince2 type of context or PMBOK type of context, painting by numbers implies bottom left. We know what needs to be done, so the goals are well defined. We know how we're going to do it, so we have methods that have worked before. In a crisis, we move away from that. So we're moving towards the top right-hand side, walking in the fog, where the goals are not particularly well defined. We need to do something, and we need to find out that we don't know exactly what effects we're going to have. So we're experimenting, and we are trying, and we are testing out different things, and we are trying to figure out how the situation is changing. So if I go back to you again one more time, and we talked about your project changing. So why has your project been impacted? And we have a number of reasons. Is it lack of money? Is it unavailable resources? Supply chain disruptions, key stakeholders and clients being unavailable, perhaps furloughed, perhaps ill, perhaps diverted, social distancing restrictions, travel restrictions, or team members unavailable. So social distancing has had an impact. Some team members are unavailable, some travel restrictions, so we're seeing some changes there. Lack of money is also becoming an issue. Yes, we're seeing that. And key stakeholders also not available. Still, social distancing is a big impact. Lack of money is in the lead. So lack of money together with social distancing are key issues. Lack of money is a bit bigger, yes. And travel restrictions and lack of money. So some of the resources have been taken away. Some of the proximity is not happening for us. All kinds of things are changing. Travel restrictions, certainly things we haven't planned for. So the unexpected also encompasses the unplanned. And this is something that has been troubling us on our projects. Life has changed and we need to deal with things differently. So certainly lack of money and travel restrictions are the key issues that we are seeing here. Thank you very much for your responses. And I'd like to comment on 3 things that have changed and are to do with risk, the action mode, and the stakeholders and the communications aspect. Risks are changing as well. We could almost add a new dimension of COVID risk. We have seen all kinds of challenges in terms of travel, in terms of working together, but also in terms of health. So if we add a new dimension and we have there at the top, we suddenly need to think about new kinds of risks. We're staying at home is the safest, not necessarily for the project, but for our lives. And singing in a church choir is perhaps the most dangerous thing we can do. So new sets of priorities suddenly risk figures in everything that we are doing. And as we've seen, it changes how we work. It changes what is available. We need to pay attention to new things. So this is, for example, in the UK, the government measures for where we are. So lockdown is important, social distancing. We are paying attention and we're reflecting on other things that are going on. We're used to traffic lights. So as we move away from the green, we suddenly get into social distancing, lockdowns, people are not available. We need to work differently. We need to rethink what we are doing. We need to change the mode, change the ways we're working, which takes us into the different modes, different ways of operation. In emergency response, in emergency and crisis management, there are different ways of dealing with crisis. There's the response where we try to save lives immediately. Then we have recovery, short-term recovery, restoring vital supplies and support systems, and longer-term recovery, which is about restoration of some facilities. But there's also a resilience mode where we try to learn, perhaps events like today, and we try to share and try to prepare for future disasters, and we work on vaccines and tracing and tracking apps and all kinds of things that go beyond for the future. The interesting thing, though, is talking to people who are working on projects at the moment, very often you need to switch modes. Governments change priorities, local, national. We need to move from response to recovery to a different response as we change stages. As we've moved it with the traffic lights, suddenly something's become more urgent. So we keep changing what we are doing all the time. And we switch from one moment to another. 1 minute it's business as usual, and then it's to response, then recovery, and perhaps changing again as new announcements are made on Sunday night, and we suddenly have to respond to them by Monday. I didn't say much about sources of uncertainty, but last year I edited the 7th edition of the APM Body of Knowledge, and we added a whole new chapter at the beginning. There are 3 chapters, and we added a 4th one, which is about shaping through projects. And every chapter has a diagram with it. And this is the first diagram in the first chapter on the first page. And the first topic that I wanted to cover there was uncertainty. And uncertainty comes from many sources, and it has stakeholders, and it has externalities and technology, and it has governments, and it has the context. So lots of things going on around us, as we've been seeing. But uncertainty and its management is key. And we need to remember that things change around us all the time. And a key one amongst them is stakeholders. In times of crisis and uncertainty, when there's more at stake, we need to get the right communication to the correct stakeholders all the time. We need to keep them in the picture, and that includes suppliers and users and people who are impacted by the system and everyone else around us, and governments and local governments and civil agencies. Everything is complicated, everything is connected, and we need to work on all of those things together. The thing is, with urgent, there's no time to start early. What we normally do, we talk about the change curve to take people with us when we introduce change. There's time to absorb things. In the change curve, we go through shock, denial, frustration, depression, and only on the way up do we start responding to change and dealing with it. In times of crisis, there's no time to go through the change curve. The next move is now. And because of the urgency, we have less time to communicate, less time to plan. So we need to think about the communication very carefully, and we need to do the best we can, because we can't take people on the full change curve. We need to move them with us as quickly as possible. We need them to be with us all the way along. Now, crises are quite interesting. Projects in turbulent times are challenging, especially after a crisis. Martin Loosemore, in a 1998 IPM study, looked at the impact of crisis on construction projects. And he identified that each crisis demanded an injection of additional resources. But at that point, people resort to contracts and people panic. And he identified 3 big ironies that make a difference. At a time when effective communication is important, it is less likely. At a time of mutual sensitivity between different project members and stakeholders is important, it is less likely. At a time when collective responsibility and teamwork are so important and we need to get people and engage them and get them to work together, it is less likely. In a time of crisis, it becomes difficult to manage. It becomes difficult to lead. We become difficult. We don't like the uncertainty. We don't cope with the stress and the strain. So we have challenges. So by way of concluding this kind of the section and the summary, I want to end with a kind of a manifesto. In a nod to the Agile community, I'm offering our own emergency project manifesto. And what we're really looking at is what has changed, which was our starting point. So it's about focusing on people, teams and relationships over processes and tools. Tools will not suffice. The old tools are not sufficient. We have moved from the bottom left to the uncertain working in the fog. We are talking about urgent attention, the top left of urgent and important. Attention is key. We need to focus attention over comprehensive documentation. We don't have time for that. We need to start to work quickly. We're talking about stakeholder partnerships, relationships, working together. Things change. We may decide that we need new ventilators, masks, change the projects we are doing. So working together, responding over the pursuit of contracts. Martin Loosemore, the last slide, was talking about what happens when we resort to contracts. We need to work together. We haven't legislated for the emergencies, and we need to respond to unfolding events over following a plan. We respond to everything that happens. We deal with turbulence, we respond, and above all, we need pragmatic leadership. We need to reset. It's not about command, it's about building back better. So we must have pragmatic leaders who see what's going on and are able to do something about it. If you're interested in reading more around it, there's a book that I published in my series focused on managing urgent and unexpected events. It was published a couple of years ago, excellent book talking about case studies. There's Managing the Unexpected by Carl Weick, and The Power of Surge, when we need to do urgent and important things and surge ahead and do them. So thank you very much. That was the first part. Now we move into the case studies, and we have case studies from 3 countries. We talked about the building the Wuhan hospital, the Chinese case study in 10 days. From Italy, we have a new facility set up, and from Australia, fighting bushfires. So I will cede control of the slides here. And I will introduce our first speaker. So from China, we have Mr. Yao Shanfa, who will talk about the integrated approach on the Wuhan emergency hospital construction projects. We've all been impressed by the project. Mr. Yao is a chief planner of the emergency hospital. He's a top 10 project manager of CCTEB in 2018 and has led many complex and international projects. Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Yao Shanfa from China Construction Civil Engineering Building. My presentation is a successful application of project integrated management in the project of Huoshenshan Emergency Hospital, including 5 parts. Part 1 is the introduction and the main work quantity. This hospital located in Caiding District, Wuhan City, 1,000 kilometers from Beijing. It covers an area of 70,000 square meters with a building area of 34,000 square meters with 1,000 beds. The largest emergency hospital project with the high standard. The shortest construction period is milestone. Construction order received on January 23. The patient admitted on February 3rd. We achieved the miracle of 0 infection, 0 accident, 0 pollution, and no mortality. Question 1, how many days from commencement to completion? This construction process from the table, we can say mobilization and site leveling start from January 25. Completed on February 2nd. With construction process: stage 1, site leveling; stage 2, foundation construction; stage 3, container house assembly; stage 4, MEP installation; stage 5, landscape construction. Question 2, how many staff and labor involved? Here is introduce the main work quantity: excavation, around 400,000 cubic meter; waterproof memory, 70,000 square meter; container house, 1,835 pieces; concrete, HVAC, water supply and drainage pipe; electric wire and cable, switch socket, power distribution, air condition, sanitary well, medical gas pipe, and so on. Part 2, the difficulty of the construction. Point 1, the design standard gradually upgrade. The item were added as follows: full cover waterproof membrane, circulation adjustment, outdoor auxiliary facility, green landscape, and a major adjustment to the power supply, negative pressure well, a metal roof. Point 2, the complicated site condition, the level different, the complicated traffic organizing, the difficult resource organizing. Part 3, the application of rapid construction technology. Question 3, among the key technology, what's the key concept in the design? We use prefabricate system design technology, platform and modular design, package assemble, adopt real-time negative pressure control system design, combine structure protective system design, color vacuum bomb, and unit design. Rapid construction technology, adopt the rapid construction transportation and warehouse management technology, adopt the modular assemble construction technology. Hospital non-proliferation key technology, adopt the high-efficiency medical waste incineration system. Point 4, information key technology, adopt an intelligent monitoring system for epidemic prevention project based on AI technology. Part 4, the successful application of project integrated management system is play a key role in the process. We focus on organization-wide collaboration, the whole process of integration, full requirement integration, ensure full resource, focus on the linkage of whole professional. Focus on all-round control is key management points. This organization chart is a 3-level organization chart. The organization chart level 1 is the government authority, which is in commander of Wuhan prevention headquarters. Level 2 is general contracting management, is led by our company, CCTEB. The 4 main contractor and professional units, such as the power supply company, water company, and the garden company. Level 3, organization chart, 4 site zone project were set up. Project operation mechanism, information communication mechanism, shift work mechanism, conference mechanism. Integrated the whole process plan management system. We make our commander scheme and file management accurate to hour or even minutes. Point 3, the key parts of all speciality was sorted out to clarify the inserting time. Item 4, formulate the overall project schedule. Project deployment, organize reasonable and scientifically, active design management, fast resource organizing, fast and high quality construction, planning, We sort out the operation area, clarify the whole process or procedure, prepare detailed working plan, and promoting hierarchical management is project division, foresight zone, working interface division. Working interface are divided scientifically and reasonable. Item 3, sort out the procedure. Plan implementation and monitoring, real-time monitoring of site progress, daily progress review, plan correction management. Point 3, integrated detailed design. Design management focus, drawing timeline, design, building ability, resource, purchase ability. We have 5 groups: building structure group, MEP group, landscape group, shop drawing group, document control group. Scheme design optimization. We make a master plan, set level difference design optimization. The auxiliary facility layout optimization. The shop drawing design optimization include analysis of foundation selection, adjustment of storage tank, design of the fence, bathroom waterproof design, optimization of roof pipeline design, design optimization of power distribution scheme. The key points in shop drawing management, the layout of container arrangement to erase size deviation. The roof structure was designed with steel pipe frame and waterproof roof. Pipeline comprehensive deepened design. Point 4, all resource management. Resource plan, reporting resource request, clarify the time of entry, resource procurement, resource entry. Resource guarantee measure. Item 1, full authorization of resource procurement and simplify procurement process. Full process fund guarantee. Refine authorization mechanism for the procurement within the group. Resource plan management, making source request, the feasibility analysis of resource plan, the accurate estimation of supplies, production, capacity, and transportation period. The arrangement of resource entry. We make resource requirement planning carefully. Resource procurement management. Contract management, contract interface division, contract procurement management, settlement and payment management. Resource entry management will make a one-stop entry service management, implement the last 1 kilometer of all resource service. Resource stage management. All specialty collaboration and rapid, smart, high-quality construction, or optimization construction technology to improve construction efficiency. Reasonable activity interspace to make full use of the working area. Item 3, traffic logistic management, ensure rapid operation of site. Smart construction, we use BIM technology, Internet of Things technology, smart site information technology. High quality construction, we mock up needing quick acceptance. We make epidemic prevention and control measure. Conclusion, the project management, the successful completion of the project benefit from we have a group advantage. The overall solution of personnel, material, capital is an important support for the successful completion. We have a resource advantage. CCTEB have strong resource organizing capacity and abundant upstream and downstream resource chain. We have a management advantage. Okay, that's all. Thank you. The time is limited. I make the speech in a hurry. Bye.
Okay, thank you very much. That was brilliant. Thank you. Perfectly on time. So we're moving from China to Italy, and we have Daniele Morgera, who's going to talk about the integrated program management of COVID-19 emergency response strategy in a major research and university hospital group. Daniele has 12 years experience. He is the chief head of civil and building department, and over the last 2 years has been the manager of hospital infrastructure, including as a COVID center.
So I'm proud to have the opportunity to share with you the Humanitas at Techint experience made in this particular historical moment. What we are going to see is the management approach and response of Humanitas Hospital to the COVID-19 pandemic. In particular, what we have done is divided on short terms and long, medium term activity. In particular, the review and rethink of the hospital process and organization, and adapting and adjusting of existing facility in order to manage the ongoing situation. But at the same time, for the phase, the medium and long-term pandemic risk, we are thinking to create a new dedicated facilities. The COVID outbreak impacted the hospital in unpredictable ways and with a speed potentially dangerous for the entire Humanitas community. So what Humanitas adopt is a circular process that involves the entire hospital, and at the same time to identify 2 teams working in synergy, one dedicated to the day-by-day activity and the other one to develop a medium and long-term strategy. In particular, the circular process were based on different pillars. For sure, the separation of the flow in order to keep separated the COVID and non-COVID patient inside the existing building. At the same time, to close the low priority activity to release critical resource, and monitoring what were going to happen, and try to make a forecast at least 1 week look ahead, and adapting the strategy day by day. The next 3 slides that we will see are representing the situation of the existing Rozzano Hospital in 3 different moments of the pandemic. In particular, we can see here on the left side a simple scheme of the hospital with the ward in completely COVID-free moment. So it's the beginning of the pandemic. Meanwhile, during the increasing of the cases, day by day were defined the correct strategy, identify and prepared a ward dedicated for COVID, and at the same time, when one of it are going to reach the 17% of the saturation, the closed ward were closed and prepared to be COVID, to allow the COVID patient inside. What we can see here is a really rapid overview of the situation almost on the peak of the pandemic. We will have the existing hospital that almost is half COVID, and the intensive therapy were make it double. So the situation was struggle the actual hospital. So the needs that we have identified at the same time with the second team that were thinking to the long-term and medium and long-term activity, we identified that for sure it's important for the hospital to separate the COVID from the not COVID patient, to let and give the opportunity to the existing hospital to continue to the normal healthcare activity that in that moment were completely stuck. And so we try to define a solution that can be flexible and effective. So at that time, we define to identify the COVID emergency hospital. It was a dedicated hospital tailor-made on the Rozzano needs. but at the same time based on the concept of flexibility, modularity, autonomy, adaptability, speed, and safety. Because the message, why the message is at that stage to try to find something that can help, in particular, the Rozzano Hospital located close to Milano, one of the most affected area of Italy, but at the same time to think something that can be replicable in every and each location, in Italy or somewhere else. So we identify as a solution the prefabricated modules that can set in different configuration in order to have a different size. Here we have some example of large composition, medium composition, and small composition, like Lego that were assembled with the modular prefabricated modules in order to suit the needs of the hospital. In particular, what we can see here is the Rozzano Hospital. I remember one Sunday that I were there with the member of the staff to try to find the correct position where located the hospital, and you can see here in the yellow square that have to be, let's say, fit the space available inside the existing hospital. We choose one parking lot really close in order to minimize the trek from the existing hospital to the new one, at the same time to use the synergy with the existing hospitals. So not so far from the commodity and the utility of the new one, and so to make easy the integration with the existing. What we can see here are some pictures of the hospital terminal. So we have the diagnostic service, for example, here, and the intensive unit care that were created. And also you can see how we have pay attention also to the quality of the interior design in order for the humanization and the comfort of the patient. At the same time, the vision of the project was to segregate the flow, that is the fundamental concept, then to let the existing hospital to be back to the normality, that is one of our main goals, and at the same time to define something standalone and multifunctional according to the modular flexibility, but that can be replicable in different places. At the same time, can be also, the idea was that this project, this hospital can be also reusable in case the pandemic long term doesn't come again. Most of the criticality were related to many the stakeholders that were involved in the project, and was dedicated the team to coordinate the interface process in order to shortage the decision making process, and to keep always constantly correctly informed all the stakeholders involved. At the same time, as for sure we don't have the schedule like the 10 days of our China's colleague, but we built 3,000 square meters of complete new hospital in 5 weeks of construction. To do that was really critical to set a detailed schedule and to set 2 review meetings. In particular, we made 1 meeting in the morning that were focused on resolve the criticality of each construction team in order to give the response that they needed to go ahead without interruption. At the same time, the second in the afternoon to monitoring and review the progress and set eventual strategy, recovery strategy. So here we can see some picture from the scratch, the starting of the site till the finalization. So what we can say that one of the most criticality of the project are related to the manpower and material availability, and let's say contrary with the normal project, we have all the phases, normal phases completely overlapped. We design meanwhile constructing and commissioning. So this was one of the most criticality, and we have to adapt also the design based on the material available on the market, because at that time was really a strange situation due to the lack in the stock market due to the lockdown. So we have to adapt continually what we are thinking to build in order to what we have available on the market. And also to think about the safety of the people, because as all of us have first clear in mind was the safety of the people due to also the manpower availability, and considering that during the peak we have almost more than 300 people working together in very limited space. So it was really a challenge to be able to not have infection or case of COVID on the worker. Really the opportunity was to build the first hospital in Rozzano that is finished and ready to get today, and cross the finger, not needed for the second wave of pandemic, but at the same time we are preparing and be ready for a new initiative in another Italian location in order to let the hospital face better than the first wave of the pandemic, the eventual second wave infection. So what we have done was thanks to all the medical and scientific staff of Humanitas that can, from the beginning, giving an important message to all the scientific community all over the world to be ready, because as most of us know, Italy was the first country in Europe to face the pandemic. And so we shared with all of international community our experience. So it is why we have to say thanks to all the people that have worked on this project, and it was an honor for me to be a part of this amazing adventure and have the opportunity today to share with all of you. I have to apologize for the rush of the presentation, but to be in time, and I'm here available for any question if you have. Thanks to everybody.
Okay, thank you very much. That was brilliant. A lot of very useful things to take from that. A lot of flexibility, agility, and pragmatism, and clearly new ways of thinking about projects in difficult times. So we've started in China, we've moved on to Italy, we're being truly international now, and therefore we're going to bring Australia into the discussion. And we have Paul Steinfort from Australia, who's a disaster recovery project manager. He's going to talk about resilient projects and sustainable programs dealing with the Australian bushfires. He has a lot of expertise in working in this area, and I'm looking forward to listening to the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Darren. Can you all see the screen, the slides? Yep. Okay. I'll talk pretty briefly, hopefully, running through over 50 years of experience in project management on major projects, but primarily in recovery projects, initially in Australia and then mainly in Asia Pacific and Australia. To show that how fierce these bushfires can be, just a short video where you can see in 3 minutes what can happen and how quickly the bushfire can attack and devastate an area. So those people got out in time, and these people who still got the video running are in a fire truck at the moment, and it just overwhelms the area. Luckily they came out alive. Quite often people don't, and these can be very traumatizing and very, very devastating, as I said earlier. So that's just a bit of an insight to how communities can be quite devastated again, to think of a better word. And so there's some of the things we experience in Australia. I've been involved for 50 years, as I said. We had a cyclone in Darwin, Northern Territory, back 45 years ago, and my wife and I worked there for 3 years after that cyclone, rebuilding the city of Darwin. And that included me being project manager of 3 hospitals and 23 schools and other public buildings. So that was a huge task at the time. And then also have worked in Aceh in Indonesia after the Asian tsunami, where 200,000 people were killed, 1.7 million people homeless. So we've had a fair involvement in pretty devastating disasters throughout our region. And I was then offered a sponsorship for doing a PhD in post-disaster project management through the PMI, the Project Management Institute, and have been working in that for many, many years. And the latest article was published, Community and Post-Disaster Program Management Methodology, in 2016 in the International Journal of Project Management. Eventually we realised, of course, and we've been dealing with this for 14 disasters I've been to, that resilience is the key, before, after and during. And so we focus very much on a project life cycle for resilience, and that works around assessing risk strategy, working out who the key stakeholders are and what outcomes they can take forward, the community value, and then implementing through project management a whole range of projects which become a program of projects with a common purpose, and then bringing about good monitoring and governance and delivery through that, and bringing, and in that also bringing to that area resilience for future disasters. This year we had those devastating bushfires right up the coast of Australia, and we then ran a number of workshops for communities with the sponsorship, in this case, of the Australian Institute of Project Management, and they provided 50 volunteer project managers to work with us, with community, through the 6 steps for responding to a disaster. Those 6 steps are about program strategy alignment, stakeholder engagement, working out the value and communication with the community. They become the main drivers, working out the programs to project planning, program implementation and monitoring, and then eventually getting and arriving at, with the community, resilient program outcomes and sustainable transition for that community for the future. And that's been carried out, that I've been involved in, firstly in the Bengali floods in Kolkata in early 1970, right through to now in both Victorian bushfires here and coronavirus. Worked in, as I said, the Darwin cyclone, Asian tsunami, Sri Lankan earthquake, did a PhD, Victorian bushfires here 10 years ago, New Zealand earthquake, Pakistan floods, Japan tsunami, Philippines typhoon, Nepal earthquake, and remote Indigenous communities here in Northern Territory, Australia. The 6-step life cycle, we get people to engage and become effective in project management by simplifying it, making it agile, making it very pragmatic, and then we address that with things that they can understand so they can grasp project management at their level. And we deal with simple words like what is the situation you're in. Let's do a rapid assessment. Who are the key stakeholders? What are the needs and wants of those key stakeholders? What outcomes and do they suit the values of the community? Obviously, in different countries, there's different cultural values. Even in Australia, in different states, there can be different values or different communities. And then why do this? Is it the best way to get through, the best for the future, sustainability, and then how to monitor and achieve that? This is an example of a workshop we did this year. Some members of the community of practice working with community, and you'll see we develop a goal, an outcome, a set of deliverables, activities. That's a horizontal tabular work breakdown structure. And I'm being so quick because you all have given me just enough time to finish. If you want to know more about the 6-step method, which has worked so effectively in all these disasters, you can go to our website, psaproject.com.au, and you can actually engage free of charge, and we will pick up and then respond to your situation and give you some guidance, and hopefully you can work better understanding how we've gone through all of these disasters and come up with methodology that works. It's project management based, and it's been very appreciated here and in a number of countries. So thank you, and back to Darren.
So as we're closing, I want to thank all the speakers. I want to thank everyone that's been there. Thank you for supporting us. I will pass the baton back to Alexander, but I would like to thank Sovnet for putting this together, the speakers for giving us a lot of food for thought. And with that in mind, over to you, Alexander. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Darren. First of all, I want to thank all our participants, our speakers, our organizers, our technical team. Of course, we had some technical problems, but you know, new technology always gives us risks and problems. It's unavoidable. And I want again to invite all of you to our 32nd IPMA World Congress in St. Petersburg next September, 21st, 23rd of September next year. And remind that, sorry, forum participants will have a special offer to purchase the tickets with a discount of 30%. See you in St. Petersburg next year. If I have a couple of minutes, I want to say two things which I got idea from what Darren said. Of course, tools are important. All of us, we know this, but there is a nice English saying, professional saying in project management. I'm sorry if it's not very polite correct, but fool with a tool is still a fool. And second, I want to citate one Russian movie, Russian audience know it, Чародеи. And it's Russian, it's видеть цель, верить в себя, не замечать препятствий. И тогда вы проходите сквозь стену. In English, it sounds like, see the goal, believe in yourself, and ignore the obstacles. And in this case, you walk through the wall, through the walls. Thank you very much. And see you in St. Petersburg next year. Now I ask to show you the video invitation again.
Thank you to everybody.
Welcome to the 32nd IPMA World Congress in Russia, Project Management in Era of Digitalization. 900 participants, 73 countries, 3 days. 22nd, 24th of September in St. Petersburg, the biggest project management event. 5 streams: project management perspective, practice, people, methodology, agility. St. Petersburg is one of the most modern cities of Russia, as well as its cultural capital. The historic center of St. Petersburg and related groups of monuments constituted as UNESCO World Heritage Site. St. Petersburg is spread across more than 40 islands over Neva River. In the city, there are many rivers and canals and 342 bridges. This has earned the city unsurprising comparisons to Venice. But the similarities don't stop here. Walking around the historic center will reveal canals lined by Italianate mansions and broken up by striking squares adorned with Baroque and neoclassical palaces. St. Petersburg is an almost unrivaled treasure trove of art and culture. The Hermitage, the Russian Museum, world-class ballet, opera, and classical concerts at the illustrious performance halls. St. Petersburg, an important cultural and financial center in Russia and one of the most picturesque cities in the world. Welcome to the 32nd IPMA World Congress in Russia, Project Management in Era of Digitalization.